It is tragic that this place of good must be destroyed. But I need the resulting evilness to charge the gauntlet. That is the only way I can destroy the absolute evil.
Thanos had obviously misplaced a few of his marbles. He marauded through the countryside, committing evil deeds in order to strengthen the good.
I totally have this deja vu thing. Very strong third part vibes. But fine, I've got the spear for his head ready now. And this time, it's got freaking barbs.
Nevertheless, the absolute evil had to react. A Thanos charged with evilness was a terrible opponent. For the good of the world, he had to be slowed and stopped.
So now, we're trying to steal the evilness from right under his nose?
Yes, that's the way it looks.
Oh, hell yes, count me in. So we do what bad guys do, and we stick it to my crazy foster father in the process.
Surely something useful could be done with the evilness later on. But first, Talia had to act faster than Thanos.
Okay, let's get out there and start doing evil deeds, so we can stop my now evil foster father from doing evil deeds. For evil! Or for the good. Oh, somehow I kind of lost the plot there somewhere. Forward, creatures!
The vault of evilness was filled to bursting. The negligent evil had to either expand it as quickly as possible or invest in appropriate research. The absolute evil had bagged some magnificent evilness. It was important to gain more of it than Thanos. The heroes' buildings presented themselves as high-yield alternatives. Payday. Creatures are collecting their pay.
Forward, my faithful subjects! Destroy the dungeon! Destroy the absolute evil! And my depraved foster daughter!
Thanos dispatched his remaining faithful towards the dungeon. From this point on, heroes would attack the underground.
No problem. That's basically extra evilness delivered free to my door. Right, clean your weapons, oil your traps, and prepare the meteor spell. Of your mind, you addle-pated old fool. You're the one killing them, and before I can do it, you bastard. Come on, creatures. We've got to get there first. Hit them, beat them, cross their eyes out with wax crayons. For the ferryman! Ha ha ha!
creatures are collecting their pay. A gold vein is almost exhausted.
I feel how the evilness strengthens my powers of good. Wonderful.
Tenos had captured a fair amount of evilness. The planning evil could try to stop him temporarily by having its creatures engage him in a fight.
Ha! Brilliant idea. I'm sure I would have thought of that too. Forward, creatures, into battle. Not all of you will survive, but that is a price I'm willing to pay.
Your little snots have dug up a spider. A gold vein has been mined out. Your enemies are in the dungeon. A new area has been unearthed in the dungeon. creatures are collecting their pay.
I have a brilliant plan. We could beat Thanos even more easily if we earned ourselves a little extra evilness. Let's build a torture chamber.
Talia, that's the smartest thing you've said in a long time. I should mark this date in my calendar. Huh. The deliberate evil said about building a torture chamber. This would not only satisfy higher-level demons, but a little extra evilness could also be squeezed out of the heroes there. Manivores have appeared in your dungeon. A new area has been unearthed in the dungeon.
Talia, I despise you for making me destroy these poor townsfolk. The light will judge you for that.
Area of the dungeon has been discovered. Ding dong! It's payday! Most of the cities in the overworld were now just smoking ruins, but there were still mythical creatures living in the overworld. Tanos's demented gaze turned to these.
It is my sacred duty to lead the light to victory. If I must destroy these good beings in order to do so, then so be it!
The good being killing evil's armies had discovered a unicorn. A few stalwart heroes set about rebuilding the destroyed buildings.
That's monstrous! We have to stop them! Forward, creatures! Stop them at all costs! Thwart their plan! Scrub the floors with soap to make them slip and fall.
One of your creatures is furious and is on strike. Your little snots have dug up a spider. The good being killing evil's armies had discovered a giant hypno bullfrog. The torture chamber was now ready. Higher-level demons vented their aggression on little snots, or even better, on heroes if there were any available. This also generated even more evilness. Your gold vein is nearly exhausted. Ding dong, it's payday. Enemies have entered the dungeon.
Thanos, Father! I can no longer stand by and watch you perform despicable acts. This is not the way of the light. Rather, you have been seduced by the darkness. Since it was I who unleashed you upon this world, it is my duty to stop you.
Ooh, that was unexpected. Tristan now seems to have switched sides to join his evil stepsister in stopping his even more evil father.
Tristan, you traitor. You have turned away from the light, just like your sister. I will destroy you both!
Manivores have been discovered in your dungeon.
Defeat me. I must withdraw. But today is not the end of days. I shall return, light be praised. And be you certain this is clear. The light will prevail, be of cheer!
Thanos has been stopped. I will return should he again attack innocent people.
Ding dong, it's payday.
Was short-lived. I will fully charge the gauntlet and destroy evil.
Amazed, aren't you, Thanos? We destroyed that building.
Enemies have entered the dungeon.
A gold vein has been mined out.
Hey, Thanos! See that food shipment for starving families there? I put the torch to that one before your decomposing brain even noticed it.
Just the next shipment will be mine. Monstrous deeds that these creatures must suffer.
I have nothing to do with that, unfortunately. I wanted to get there before you, damn it!
Payday.
Talia, I despise you for making me destroy these poor townsfolk. The light will judge you for that.
Once again, Thanos had to retreat to lick his wounds. The planning evil would surely know how to take advantage of his absence. The Hypno Bullfrog came back to life. Talia and the Nimble Evil had destroyed one of the good buildings before Thanos could do so.
Enemies have entered the dungeon.
Thanos was back in the race for evilness.
This is not over yet. My wounds will heal, and I'll be back.
The pernicious evil had already collected a quarter of the evilness. A victory over Thanos was in sight. Talia and the speedy evil had destroyed an aid shipment before Thanos got to it.
It's payday.
Now that even the mythical creatures in the area were becoming almost impossible to find, it was becoming increasingly difficult to find specific targets to gather evilness.
Is that a charity shipment for a nearby orphanage over there? Sad. But I will see it destroyed in the name of victory for good!
Amazed, aren't you, Thanos? We destroyed that building.
The goddess has filled me with new strength. I will destroy the evil.
Thanos was so weakened that he decided to retreat.
And once again, Talia saves the day. I mean, I'll nab the good being before that has-been Thanos can.
Your time is running out. Good shall prevail. I will destroy the next good being.
We've already raked in half the evilness. Thanos doesn't stand a chance against us.
Talia and the Swift Evil had destroyed an orphanage shipment before Thanos could do so. Talia and the Speedy Evil had destroyed an aid shipment before Thanos got to it. Enemies have entered the dungeon. Thanos was back in the race for evilness. Talia and the Swift Evil had destroyed an orphanage shipment before Thanos could do so. Ding dong, it's payday.
You may have been faster than me this time, but in the end, good shall inevitably triumph. I will destroy the next building. This is not over yet. My wounds will heal, and I'll be back.
Enemies are in the dungeon.
Hey, Thanos, See that food shipment for starving families there? I put the torch to that one before your decomposing brain even noticed it.
Just you. The next shipment will be mine.
The evilest evil had now collected about 3/4 of the required evilness. Its triumph over Thanos was within reach. Talia and the Swift Evil had destroyed an orphanage shipment before Thanos could do so.
Amazed, aren't you, Thanos? We destroyed that building.
Has filled me with new strength. I will destroy the evil.
Talia and the Speedy Evil had destroyed an aid shipment before Thanos got to it. Talia and the Swift Evil had destroyed an orphanage shipment before Thanos could do so. Once again, Thanos had to retreat to lick his wounds. The planning evil would surely know how to take advantage of his absence.
It's payday.
Talia and the Speedy Evil had destroyed an aid shipment before Thanos got to it.
Enemies have entered the dungeon.
Hey, Thanos! See that food shipment for starving families there? I put the torch to that one before your decomposing brain even noticed it.
Just you wait. The next shipment will be mine.
We did it! I did it. That should be enough evilness to feed Gorgu. So, little baby, eat up all that tasty evilness.
Enriched by all this energy, Gorgu once again became the Dungeon Lord. In this form, he could take on Thanos' undead. At least, that's what Talia and the really thinking plans through evil thought.
What's with all the pessimism? Dungeon Lord Gorgu will thoroughly kick Thanos' butt, and then that barbed spear I mentioned earlier comes into play.
The duel. Dungeon Lord Gorgu and Thanos stood face to face. Both were getting ready for an all-important battle. Gorgu had ingested enough evilness to remain in the guise of the Dungeon Lord for an extended period of time. But Thanos was also able to strengthen himself somewhat. Both opponents now faced one another in an implacable duel. Imagine here some quick camera cuts to the grim faces of the two opponents, like the ones you used to see in the anime series of your youth. The stare-down could fill out several volumes all by itself, but just for you, we've condensed that down to one line of dialogue. Then the two opponents began to throw wildly powerful missiles at each other's ears. But such an epic battle with unusual attacks and such took its toll, and both sides retreated for a short breather.
Men, despair not. It is time to prepare for the final battle. Fight at my side. Together, we will destroy evil once and for all!
This rousing speech, together with the threat of beatings in the case of non-compliance, served to mobilize Thanos' reaming heroes. It would certainly make sense for Talia to support Gorgu as well.
Really? I thought Gorgu would make short work of Thanos now. After all the stress of the previous mission. Is someone trying to grind out a little extra game time? But hey, fine, don't let anyone say I let evil down. I'll throw wave after wave of my creatures at Thanos if I have to. Up you get, you lazy bums. Pick yourselves up, build a dungeon, raise an army, and severely rearrange Thanos' teeth.
A few manivores have appeared in your dungeon.
It's payday.
A new area has been unearthed in the dungeon. Some of Tanis's willing helpers set out for the dungeon to attack the dungeon heart. It was probably a sensible idea to prevent them from doing so. Man-of-wars have appeared in your dungeon. A new area of the dungeon has been discovered.
There are enemies in your dungeon.
Man-of-wars have appeared in your dungeon. Payday. Man-of-wars have been discovered in your dungeon. Man-of-wars have appeared in your dungeon. clash of the giants was at hand. They would meet over there.
Excellent. Good to know. Then I'll get the troops hurt and give them a taste of the leather. I mean, put the troops on alert and pull them together. Damn it.
A gold vein is almost exhausted.
It's payday.
Enemies have entered the dungeon. Thanos and Gorgu had recovered enough and once again joined in fervent battle. A duel worthy of mention in the history books was in the offing. Gorgu was just getting a feel for what it was like to actually be the Dungeon Lord. He had meanwhile discovered additional powers. Thus it was possible for him to heal himself on the one hand and to execute a powerful additional attack on the other. However, it took him a while to gather the strength for these skills.
The little rugrat really does have a few tricks up his sleeve. Wonderful! Those are just the things needed to smack Thanos right.
Both Gorgu and Thanos withdrew yet again to recuperate. Talia and the army training evil took advantage of this brief respite to regroup.
A creature has become livid with rage.
One of your creatures has become livid with rage. A gold vein has been mined out.
There are enemies in your dungeon.
Payday. Enemies have entered the dungeon. One of your creatures is furious and is on strike. Enemies have entered the dungeon. A creature has become livid with rage.
There are enemies in your dungeon. Enemies have entered the dungeon.
Payday.
There are enemies in your dungeon.
Your enemies are in the dungeon.
One of your creatures is furious and is on strike. A creature has become livid with rage. There are enemies in your dungeon. One of your creatures is furious and is on strike. It's payday. Enemies have entered the dungeon.
Dungeon Lord Gorgu and Tanos were about to meet again. This epic battle would take place on that as yet undistinguished field there.
Excellent! Then let's get ready to give that damn paladin wannabe a hot reception. And I ain't talking tasty hot beverages either.
Enemies have entered the dungeon.
Tanos and Gorgu faced each other again, ready for another epic duel. One of the Dungeon Lord's skills was once again available. A number of Tanos' faithful set out to support Tanos in the duel. Once again, Tanos and Gorgu retreated. Whether it was to catch their breath or whether they went out for a coffee together is unknown. Heroes who had planned to do battle with Gorgu now made their way into the dungeon after all. Enemies have entered the dungeon. Payday. The merciless Evil's armies had destroyed one of the bases set up by Tanos' faithful. This would probably slow them down a bit, but at the same time, it spurred them on even more. Crazy fanatics. Another base belonging to Tanos' faithful was destroyed. Another battle between Tanos and Dungeon Lord Gorglu was brewing. The ruthless evil made its preparations. Another base belonging to Tanos' faithful was destroyed. Tanos and Gorgu appeared once again, ready to face one another in a third battle. I hope this was the finale, as we're running out of battlefields. The Dungeon Lord's skills were ready to use again. Tanos' followers also planned to support their leader in battle. A few heroes tried to beat Gorgu up.
This can't be true. Good must triumph.
Ha! Take that, old man. At first, I thought it was stupid of Tristan to resurrect you, but I've reconsidered. You are such a crazy frickin' scumbag that you really do deserve to die twice for this.
But with the last of his strength, Tanos managed to use the Gauntlet of Finitude. What happened next is so blatant that we have to show it in a cutscene. The battle between Tanos and Dungeon Lord Gorgu raged. Both opponents assumed their best anime fighting poses, sized up their opponent, and then exchanged blows, magic missiles, and/or telepathic insults. But even though the fight dragged on due to Gorgu's inexperience, the end was predestined. Tanos was forced further and further into the defensive. In his distress, Tanos saw himself with only one remaining option. He took the stones of finitude and stuffed them into his mouth. Tanos was bathed in an unnatural light, with flames rising from his eyes. He grew and grew as his muscles swelled and his body deformed. This discharge hurled the stones of finitude away yet again and scattered them in all directions. In his new form, Thanos was now significantly stronger than the inexperienced Gorgon, and with one mighty blow, the mutation hurled the Dungeon Lord in training to the side. Then the creature turned towards Talia. Its eyes began to flash. Destructive laser beams, yes, that's really what it says here, shot out of its eyes toward the Dark Elf to destroy her. But this was the moment for heroes, and so Tristan pushed his stepsister Talia aside, out of the line of fire. So now, instead of Talia, Tristan was scorched by Thanos' laser eyes. Talia had no time to check on her stepbrother, but fled as fast as she could. If looks could kill, Thanos had destroyed the Gauntlet of Finitude and absorbed its power. The resulting transformation was unpleasant. Talia and the fleeing evil got the hell out of there. Thanos had fully unleashed the Gauntlet's power, transforming into a giant monster that was definitely not green for trademark reasons. High energy light shot from his eyes, melting everything in its path.
Ah, the goddess of light has blessed me. The cleansing light of my eyes will burn all evil from the face of the earth.
Many times I killed the goddess! She can't bless anyone anymore!
And even under the earth you are not safe, you despicable creatures.
Thanos' laser eyes carved a hole in the ground that stretched down into the depths of the dungeon. If these lasers were to hit the dungeon heart, it would be the end of the absolute evil. Meanwhile, in the underground, Talia had other things she considered important.
Yeah, I know. You're gonna make some hackneyed crack about women and mirrors now, you miserable chauvinist. The fact is, that thing gives me a break.
The laser eyes were leaving a trail of devastation through the dungeon. But in the middle of their path, by pure chance, of course, stood Talia's mirror.
Ah! What devilry! Talia, you vile thing! You are truly the most evil spawn that ever existed! Just wait until my eyes have recovered. Then my cleansing gaze will burn you to ashes!
That Thanos is such a miserable jerk. He doesn't even notice when he puts himself out of action. I mean, that was my ingenious plan all along, of course. Unfortunately, my mirror also broke in the process. Where am I going to get a new one now?
Talia and the Absolute Evil had nothing to counter Thanos' gigantic laser eyes at the moment. Both agreed that a strategic withdrawal from these lands was the wisest choice for the time being.
So, well, if that's what the narrator says, then that's probably what happened, right? But fine, for now it probably really makes sense to get the hell out of Dodge. Forward, creatures! Line up in rows of 2. Hold the creature next to you by the hand, and then run away in panic!
While Talia gazed sadly at the remains of the mirror, the Council of Little Snots suddenly spoke up out of nowhere. It just so happened that they had just bought a huge stock of leftover mirrors, but since they all wore robes, where you could barely make out their faces, they didn't have any use for them. However, the Council of Little Snots was planning a huge feast called Thanks Gobbler. In exchange for some of those delicious birds, the council was more than willing to provide one of its mirrors.
Can't they just send us the mirror anyway? Oh, but fine. Forwards! Move it! Feed the gobblers, raise them, give them food, spiked with hormones and medicine. Ha 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 ha! Wait, why am I even laughing?
A new area of the dungeon has been discovered. Your little snots have dug into a spider nest.
Take that!
A few of Tanos's more fanatical followers were not frightened by their leader's monstrosity, but rather encouraged. They gleefully rushed into the dungeon to attack it.
There are enemies in your dungeon.
Then it will be time to look into my eyes.
Payday. Manivores have been discovered in your dungeon. A new area has been unearthed in the dungeon.
There are enemies in your dungeon.
Your little snots have dug up a spider. Your little snots have dug up a spider.
My vision has cleared again. Time for some purifying fire. Look me in the eyes!
Tanos' eyes had calmed down again, and once more lasers shot out, burning through the underground. A gold vein is almost exhausted. A room in the dungeon was slowly being destroyed by Tanos' laser eyes. Manivores have been discovered in your dungeon.
As the avatar of good, I'm willing to forgive your evil ways. Surrender and repent. We can talk everything over.
Oh, your usual dribble. Do you really think anyone is going to fall for that anymore? I'm going to kick your butt so hard that you'll have it in your sights when I'm done and burn it with your laser eyes.
Tanos' laser eyes hit a room in the dungeon. Tanos' laser eyes struck yet another room. The hopefully having a mirror at hand evil watched as another one of its rooms was targeted by Thanos' laser eyes. Thanos' laser eyes struck yet another room. A room in the dungeon was hit by Thanos' laser eyes. Your little snots have completely mined out a gold vein. Another room in the dungeon was hit by Thanos' laser eyes. Evil's army reached a destroyed bridge, once known as the Bridge of Death, before countless swallows of unknown origin landed on it. Perhaps the nearby hero camp held an alternative way to cross the gorge. A room in the dungeon was hit by Thanos' laser eyes. The hopefully having a mirror at hand evil watched as another one of its rooms was targeted by Thanos' laser eyes. The invading evil's armies had captured a city belonging to Thanos' fanatical followers. A mysterious portal lay within. Another room in the dungeon was hit by Thanos' laser eyes.
Talia, faster, daughter. Maybe there's still time for you to turn back. Come to the light. You just have to look deep into my laser eyes.
The happily sending its creatures through weird portals evil had successfully used a teleportation portal and thus managed to lead its creatures across the gorge. Thanos' laser eyes reached another room in the dungeon. Payday. The hopefully having a mirror at hand evil watched as another one of its rooms was targeted by Thanos' laser eyes. Conquering evil had destroyed a second base full of Thanos' fanatics. Its troops were able to use the portal there to cross the gorge again. Thanos' laser eyes hit a room in the dungeon. Thanos' laser eyes reached another room in the dungeon. Thanos' laser eyes hit a room in the dungeon.
Talia, you vile monstrosity. It is your fault that Tristan had to die. You corrupted him. I will make you pay for this.
A gold vein is almost exhausted. Has been unearthed in the dungeon. The hopefully having a mirror at hand evil watched as another one of its rooms was targeted by Thanos' laser eyes. Tanos's laser eyes struck yet another room. Payday! Creatures are collecting their pay. Manivores have appeared in your dungeon. The hopefully having a mirror at hand evil watched as another one of its rooms was targeted by Tanos's laser eyes. Manivores have appeared in your dungeon. Tanos's laser eyes hit a room in the dungeon. Tanos's laser eyes struck yet another room. Tanos's laser eyes reached another room in the dungeon. A new area of the dungeon has been discovered. Another room in the dungeon was hit by Tanos's laser eyes. Tanos's laser eyes hit a room in the dungeon. A room in the dungeon was hit by Tanos's laser eyes. The hopefully having a mirror at hand evil watched as another one of its rooms was targeted by Tanos's laser eyes. A room in the dungeon was hit by Tanos's laser eyes.
Even this spawn of hell cannot protect you from my purifying fire. Repent and surrender. It will only burn for a...
The hopefully having a mirror at hand evil watched as another one of its rooms was targeted by Tanos's laser eyes. Tanos's laser eyes struck yet another room. Ding dong, it's payday. Tanos's laser eyes hit a room in the dungeon. Tanos's laser eyes reached another room in the dungeon. Tanos's laser eyes struck yet another room. The hopefully having a mirror at hand evil watched as another one of its rooms was targeted by Tanos's laser eyes. Another room in the dungeon was hit by Tanos's laser eyes. Tanos's laser eyes reached another room in the dungeon. The hopefully having a mirror at hand evil watched as another one of its rooms was targeted by Tanos's laser eyes. Tanos's laser eyes hit a room in the dungeon. The hopefully having a mirror at hand evil watched as another one of its rooms was targeted by Tanos's laser eyes. Tanos's laser eyes reached another room in the dungeon.
It's payday. Your creatures has become livid with rage.
Talia, you vile monstrosity. Your form has the die you corrupt. I will make you pay for this.
Another room in the dungeon was hit by Tanos's laser eyes. Tanos's laser eyes reached another room in the dungeon.
A creature.
Tanos's laser eyes struck yet another room. Another room in the dungeon was hit by Tanos's laser eyes. Enemies have entered the dungeon.
Gonna get up.
Tanos's laser eyes hit a room in the dungeon. payday. Creatures are collecting their pay. Thanos' laser eyes reached another room in the dungeon. Your gold vein is nearly exhausted.
I'm going to burn everything down.
The hopefully having a mirror at hand evil watched as another one of its rooms was targeted by Thanos' laser eyes. Talia and the Absolute Evil had finally reached the evacuation point for their tactical retreat.
Phew, that was really something. We urgently need a way to stop Thanos again. I still have that sharp-pointed spear, just pining for Thanos' head.
To be able to stop Thanos again, it would probably be necessary to reassemble the Gauntlet of Finitude. However, the stones that filled the gauntlet were scattered in all directions. It would take some time to round them all up.
Of course. Nothing in this stupid dungeon series is ever easy. Any sensible person would think to themselves, boom, let's just beat the crap out of him and that's it. But no, I have to go through the countryside and collect some stupid stones. Okay, fine. Let's get this over with so I can get back to the point where I put Thanos' head on a spear.
The Finitude Drill. Talia and the Absolute Evil were able to escape from the gigantic Thanos. To defeat him, they would have to reassemble the Gauntlet of Finitude. But before they could do that, they first needed the Stones of Finitude. Some of them should be able to be found nearby.